Höchstgeschwindigkeit und im Ziel hinein.
Yes!
die Welle schneiden. Das ist ja so... es drückt mehr nachher, oder? Es kommt ein bisschen so...
Next one up from Italy, all the sun shields are open. All the sun shields are open, and if you want to take a picture, please do not. One minute to the first forerunner and 5 minutes to start.
Welcome back for the final time to the IBSF Skeleton World Cup for 24-25. We're in Lillehammer in Norway, the final 8th race of the season and the last heat of the regular season. Our final race will be the World Championships in March in Lake Placid. But before then, 25 sleds all vying for attention here in Lillehammer. And after the first of our 2 heats, we have a fairly widespread leaderboard. 49 hundredths off the lead is Great Britain's Amelia Coltman. Now, last year's European Championship bronze medalist finished in 6th place in this race last season. Mystique Rowe of the USA was the silver medalist last year in Altenburg. She is in the silver medal position. And she is 16 hundredths ahead of Amelia Coltman, so 33 hundredths from the leader.
Next one up from Italy,
And our first heat leader with a fluent run that made it look like the track was easy, which nobody else seemed to think, is Janine Flock, the World Cup points leader, aiming for a 4th record equaling gold medal in the European Championships to bring her tally up to a total of 12 European medals since 2012. So Janine Flock leads by 1/3 of a second from Mystique Rowe, with Amelia Coltman just ahead of Kimberly Boss. Then Suzanne Crair, Nicole Silveira close together, as are Tabby Stoker, Hannah Neiser and Jackie Pfeiffer, with Freya Tarbit and Kelly Curtis in hot pursuit. Further on down, some equally tight little battles, which means that our top 25 is likely to change to a degree. Below, Song CG of China, Data Naimana, Nana Johansson and the rest will all be watching the action trackside. So let's go and see how it all pans out. Well, Mystique Rowe, silver medalist last season, on target to perform much the same, unless she can find something very special to reel in Janine Flock. And Janine, the maths are simple. Even if she has a calamitous second heat, if she's in the top 10, she will still be the World Cup champion. Sarah Schmidt of Switzerland, you can see there's a big tent there just behind the start area, and that's where all the sleds are kept undercover, particularly for bobsleigh, and the athletes warming up in the crisp, cold, still sub-zero air. Clouds are starting to clear away a little, so it looks like it's going to be another cold night. Our start list, we go from 25 down to 1, the reverse of their first heat performance. First out, Song CG. Last to go, as so often, will be Janine Flock. We are ready to go for race 8 of the IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup in Lillehammer. Peeking from around the hoarding is the coach, Dirk Matchens, and first at the line is his slider, China's Song CG. With the 24th fastest start, she came down in 25th place, just making the cut. Let's see if she can find a little bit more performance here. A rookie this season, just one prior race. This is her first full World Cup campaign. This is World Cup race number 9. Started 5:29 in the first heat, 5:28 in the second. She gets the benefit, or possibly the handicap, of extra freshly spritzed ice, which will be faster than previously. We saw a slew of track records at the start of the first heat. Track record was broken no fewer than 4 times. Don't think Song is going to do that here, but it might potentially happen right at the end of the race. You never can tell. Decent exit out of 13. Whipping down through the track very quickly. 125 kilometers an hour. Across the line, 53.39. 15 hundredths quicker than her first heat. Now, she didn't race here last season, so this is her first World Cup result here. 18th in Beijing is her best result, and that is her first full season completed. Among the fans trackside, some 1,100 school kids from nearby towns and villages. Getting a great opportunity to see men's skeleton and women's skeleton in action. And possibly nagging their parents to bring them back for the bobsleigh at the weekend. Song CG then, our leader after the first sled. Next up is Italy's Alessia Crippa, just 200ths of a second quicker in the first heat than Song. Alessia starting 14th fastest. Coach Willi Schneider with a lot of thinking to do over the remaining of this winter and next before the Milan Cortina Games. 5:21 getaway, just a couple of hundred slower than her first heat. But fast enough ahead of Song CG, our current leader. But she still has an advantage, and that's creeping up now. Out of corner 6, little late flop into the labyrinth. Ooh, on the inside there, 9, late off 10. This is going to rob her of speed. Not quite as quick as the Chinese slider, and not really the speed there to hang on. 500s back going into 15. Not sure she's going to stay in front. She does not. 500s back. Well, to put this into context, Song, very limited knowledge here. She raced here twice in Europe Cup in 22 and 24. It's only her 9th World Cup start. Alessia's 31st World Cup race. She finished 15th here last year. Cannot get hooked up this year, though. Five of the 8 races in the top 20. This year, none in the top 10. Well, we'll see her again in a few weeks in the World Championships. Next up, Data Zunta of Estonia. Started with the same start time, 5.19, as Alessia Crippa, but came down a single 100th of a second faster. Always amazes me that you can have such different athletes so closely tied on time, or near tied on time. 5.20 start, so starts 100th quicker, so she's doubled her first heat advantage over Alessia Crippa, and she's now 1100ths ahead of our current leader, Song CG. She only had 300ths in hand from the first heat. That's out to 2100ths. It's been a good top part of the track. Not a bad 10 to 11 transition. Into 12, 13. Smooth from Data Zunta. Little tap there. Still 1800ths in hand. Not quite as quick as Song, but enough to take the lead away from the Chinese slider. 53.31. So on that run alone, she would have been ahead, but you add in her aggregate from the previous run, and she takes the lead by 1100ths. And that run was 800ths quicker than Song. So good top part of the track. Again, the speed of the sled on the curves, catching out our early runners, as it did, I think, in the first heat. So either they haven't quite got a handle on it, and that's entirely possible, or the spritz and the warmer afternoon air might have made it even quicker. So Dartersund leads as we get to the USA's Sarah Roderick, the 31-year-old. Finished in 25th place last year. She was disappointed with her first heat. Kind of came apart in the lower part of the track, but actually that's something that she shares with an awful lot of her rivals and athletes in the men's race. 5:11, great start. 5:12 in the first heat, that was 6th quickest. That'll be another top 6 start. Smooth early on, keeping the speed alive. Nice run through 6. It's one of the key areas for early speed down into the labyrinth. Nice lines, good run through 8 and 9. Clean out of 10, still 1800s up. Better speed than we've seen from anybody so far. Little late out of 13, but handles it well. Good looking run from Sarah Roderick. She'll have the lead and enough advantage that she may be in the leaders box a while. Really nice run. 52.98. 4800s quicker than her first heat. Now, if she's not smiling after that, then her expectations are definitely even higher.
Oh, I did it. Oh, that's better. Shoo.
So 52.98 in the first heat would have been enough for 13th place, not 22nd where she was. A pair of those runs would have been very good news. I don't know who that rabble is. Some of the younger US team members working as forerunners here as well. Liang Yuqin of China is next up, the 17-year-old, second youngest athlete in the field. 15th in the Youth Olympic Games in Pyeongchang last February. And her advantage over Sarah Roderick is 300ths of a second now. She'll give that away and a lot more at the start. She started 5:21 in the first heat to Roderick's 5:12. 5:23, so she starts 1200 slower than Roderick, not than her previous start. So she's in the red already, and a lot of toe steering going on here, so already you can see she's having to adjust what she thought was going to happen. With experience, with kilometers on ice, start to feel those even more keenly, even more early in a run. And the most experienced sliders will adapt better than the least experienced. That kind of stands to reason, doesn't it? Little wild off 13. Decent speed at the bottom, though. So the dirt match and sleds are not hanging around. 53.35. She slips a spot. Or rather, Sarah Roderick climbs a spot. That's actually 800s quicker than her first heat. So Liang Yuqin comes in. Season, or World Cup season, is finished for her. And the World Championships remain. Have to see what selection choices are made by the coaches, who ends up going to the Worlds. Next up for the USA, Katie Uhlender. Said in the first heat, aiming to go to Milan Cortina, her 5th games. She's already competed in 5 Olympic Games. She is aiming for her 6th Olympic start for the USA. Her debut was in Torino 2006, and that would be a great way to round out the first part of her athletic career, wouldn't it? With 2 Italian Olympic appearances. Nice smooth run early on. 5:35, not the fastest of starts. Nice looking lines, little late flop. Second best speed. And the trademark Julender style, with the ankles at the same width as the sled most of the way down. It's just the way she slides, so distinctive though. Third at the line, 53.44. A real cornerstone of the US skeleton team for 20 years, Katie Julender. From a fresh young slider to this talented vet who's got so much knowledge and experience. To go back to another World Championships in in Lake Placid will just be a fantastic moment for Katie Julender. Tinged with a little emotion, perhaps, in the absence of her great friend Stephen Holcomb. Well, somebody's happy to be at the line, firing herself up, Julia Erlacher, with coach Mickey Grunberger. Started 5:10 in the first heat, 5th fastest start. I mean, what potential this young slider could have if she can harness that speed. Coaches will always come out with the same old line, give me a starter and I'll turn them into a slider. 5:13, just a little slower than her first heat. She can adapt to the speed of the track, and she can move up the order as well. Sarah Roderick of the USA is in the leaders box, holding a 600s advantage. A little hard onto 7. Nicely out of 9, down to 10. Third best speed, so the gap's not growing. Second best speed. As quick as Sarah Roderick at this stage. It's going to be narrow, but the margin is growing, and Erlacher's got the better speed at the bottom. Across the line, a 10th up, 52.96. So Sarah Roderick is evicted. And Julia Erlacher moves into the leaders box after the first 7 sleds. So a big smile from Julia Erlacher. Nice hypermotion shot of the load there. Hands off, tucked under the hips as the yoke of the thumb goes around the handle. That's all they hold on with. And out of 13, not a bad exit. Little tap on the wall. So Julia Erlacher, the leader, as we get to Sarah Schmidt of Switzerland. Started 5:19, nearly a 10th of a second slower than Erlacher, but came down 200ths in front. So that lead will vanish, and it does, 5:22. Starting 900 slower again. 5th fastest start so far, though. Sarah Schmidt, 14th fastest starter out of 36. It's not bad. Ooh, little pinballing down in the labyrinth. That's going to take precious speed away. Gap's gone from 700s at the start to 3/10. It'll be half a second back at the line. Only the 7th best speed. I'm afraid she's in free fall here. Disappointing sixth place at the line, behind Katie Uhlaender and Data Sunta, who are tied for fourth at the moment. .1900 slower than her first heat. So out of 6, it's one of the key exits. Corner 4 messes you up for 5 and 6. And if you get out of 6 wrong, then in the labyrinth, all that starts to happen. That was the 8-9 transition. And down here, 12-13. He did come out more in the middle of 12 and wouldn't have had the skid into 13. That also robbing the speed. Sciarda, what a shame. Alessandra Fumigali of Italy is our next slider. Came out very late in the draw, start draw number 33. She finished 28th last year in the World Cup here, didn't make the second heat. So this is uncharted territory, at least in Lillehammer, for Alessandra. She might need to get a helmet painter before next season. 5:09 is the getaway. Now, she did have a painted helmet at the beginning of the season, which was in the colours of a Pokemon Pokeball. Maybe that has been damaged. She hasn't had a chance to get the replacement painted. Third best speed. Clinging on to a slender lead over Julia Erlacher, but in real trouble here. Yeah, looping all over the place, speed's gone, and with it will go the time. The advantage will disappear, late out of 13 as well. Well, third best speed, somehow she's flying down, clinging on, but it's not enough to take the lead. 300s back. Tight stuff. 53.19 first heat, 53.18 second heat, just not enough. And again below the labyrinth. Paying the penalty for the errors early on. Here we are, this is 8-9, hits the wall on the inside. Out of 9, down to 10, hits the wall. And then here we go, this is corner 10. Big looping height, covering a lot of extra ice. Yeah. And just ahead of Alessandra Fumigali was her teammate Valentina Margaglio. 12 races and 13 months since she last had a medal, and that will go on because she is not going to get a medal today. Just 16th in the first heat. A disappointing and frustrating season for all the Italian sliders in the skeleton program. 4:98 first heat, 5:01 second start. Let's see if she can be tidier than in the first run. Out of 4 to 5. Needs a clean exit out of 6. Looping too much in 6. Flopped a bit. And again, skidding into corner 9. 4,500s up. 4th best speed. So the gap will not endure. Hits hard out of 13. 6th best speed, she'll have enough to take the lead away from Julia Erlacher. 52.91, well, it was wild, or untidy, let's be honest, not wild. But 52.91 was quicker than her first heat. That would have been a 12th place run in the first heat. Well, 12th would have been a better starting place than 16th, but still nowhere near the podium. Comes late out of 13, can't avoid the wall. See how cold it is. Bits of frozen tape dropping off the sled. Well, that's the World Cup campaign over for the Italian sliders. Valentina Margaglio leads with 15 sleds still to come. From Czechia, the former Czech Republic, Anna Fernstedt, formerly slid in the German programme. Now done more races for Czechia than she ever did for Germany in World Cup level. 5:29 getaway, 5:27 in the first heat. So she's going to need to find a quarter of a second as well, really, to stay in front of Valentina Margaglio. And is not finding that at the moment. Like a lot of German sliders. Finds her speed lower down on the ice. The longer the track, the better she goes. Again, smooth transitions, being rewarded with the best speed. Quarter of a second behind, though. Still the best speed for Anna Fernstedt. How close is she going to be at the line? I don't think she's got enough. She did! 52.88. 0.05 of a second up on Valentina Margaglio. She was 200s in front of the Italian in the first run, added 300s in the second.
Besser.
Great view of the eyes, focusing where they want the sled to go. That little bit of tape getting wafted around as sleds go by. Not too bad. Anna Fernstedt moves into the leader's box as Alessandra Fumagalli picks up and packs up. And at the top of the ice is our rookie Victoria Dörnicke. So Vicky is the start record holder with a 4:89, started 4:96 in the first heat. Was disappointed when she was told that. Let's see if she can find anything extra. 4:97, not quite. Now 14th place in the first run for Victoria Dörnicke. Didn't race here last year in the World Cup. It's only her 4th World Cup outing. Good speed, though. She's multiplying that start velocity, isn't she? Little late flop out of 10. Little rub. Not bad out of 13, hits the wall. Only the 10th best speed, so the gap won't be a second. It won't be half a second, but it might be a quarter of a second. It is 52.67. $39 faster than her first run. That's a very big improvement. 52.67 would have seen her in 5th place in the first heat, and comfortably in 5th place at that. That is the 5th fastest run of the competition so far. Now, obviously, she's got a first heat deficit to the front runners, and that will blunt her chances of getting further up the order, but that shows that the speed is there. Next up for China, Li Yuxi. Lin Chenwei claimed victory in the men's competition this morning. His first World Cup win, his first World Cup medal, and another new winner in the men's competition. Can Li break into the top 10? 13th after the first heat. She's going to have to produce one heck of a run to stay ahead of Victoria Derneke. 5:13 is the getaway. So that's 1/1600 slower than Derneke, and she only had 500s in hand. And that extra start velocity of Derneke carries her all the way down to turn 6. So the gap continues to grow. Third best speed. Derneke wasn't the fastest. Fernstedt has been. Second quickest. Good run for Lee. She's chiseling away at that lead. Second quickest, 1/1600s. Could be tight. Derneke wasn't perfect at the bottom. Doesn't get her. Liu Chi overhauled by Victoria Derneke. And these tiny margins up and down the field mean that consistency is so important for our sliders. There's the saddle, basically the big handles. They're tailored to shape the body of the athlete. And that's what you cling onto with your thumbs. They're down by your hips. That stops the athlete sliding off the sled in the corners. So Liu Chi in second ahead of Anna Fernstedt. Victoria Derneke still the leader. Well, you've just dealt with one Chinese rival, and hey presto, here comes another. Xiao Dan, 12th place after the first heat. 1/1300s in front of Derneke. A big pun, 1/1500s in front of Derneke. Just watching that action there and thinking about the team competition, see how she rocks herself backwards and forwards to get that inertia, to get herself going. Can't do that in the team competition. If you flinch, you're disqualified or you have time added, which effectively rules you out. 5:18 was the getaway. Again, opening up a bigger margin to Derneke with that slower start. 1900s back, and that will remain as she has the highest speed. I was going to say that will open up again. Xiao Dan finding her sled running well in these conditions. Decent exit out of 13. Not a huge hit with the wall, and still the best speed. She's driving herself into the lead ahead of Victoria Derneke, and she gets ahead at the line, 52.67. So the run was exactly the same as Victoria Derneke's. Her 1500s advantage from the first heat, as predicted. Eventually somebody's first heat advantage would undo Derneke, and it didn't take long. It was Xiao Dan who did. So she will be no worse than 12th place, having finished in 18th last year. Swooping down out of 13. Not the hardest hit with the wall, but it did put her into a skid into 14. So that would have cost time as well. All right. Heading towards the top 10, just 100th out of the 10 is the USA's Kelly Curtis. 25th World Cup start for Curtis, has not raced here, so first time at this track. She's been learning fast and learning well. 5:14 the start. She's getting quicker and quicker, isn't she? And her sliding was never in question on her return after a year's maternity leave. She started off with a 23rd and a 33rd result in Pyeongchang. 24th, made the cut in Beijing just. And last time out in St. Moritz, 7th place. That's how her season has progressed. Knocking on the door of the top 10, 1900s ahead of Xiaodan, but an uncomfortable exit of 13. Only the 4th best speed. Gap's going to come down to not much, 1700s at the line, 52.60. 2100s better than her first. Hey! There's her little daughter. That is not the father, I'm just going to point out. That is not Kelly's husband. Austin Florian helping out there in the Let's Look After Baby stakes. Hey, we've all stitched up family members and got them in the coach's box. Well, I didn't, but somebody did, Brian Scheimer. Kelly Curtis, good second heat. Is that enough for the top 10? It might be, you know. So Kelly Curtis leads from the USA. Xiaodan in second, Victoria Dernicker in third, 10 to go. Kenny Thomas with the sled for the first of our British athletes. Freya Tarbit in 10th position after the first of our 2 heats here in Lillehammer. 8th and final race of the IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. 10th fastest at the start, 10th at the bottom. Outstarted Kelly Curtis, our current leader, by 200ths, outdrove her by 100th. 5:19 loses out at the start to Curtis. Kelly got quicker, Freya got 500ths slower. So now it's down to the drive. 1300s back, heading into 6. 1900s back, 6th best speed. Kelly Curtis was second quickest. Curtis was fastest through the next speed trap. And only 8th fastest for Freya Tarbit. She's going to slip out of the top 10. Kelly Curtis will have a top 10 result here. Freya pinballing down the straight. Across the line, drops 4 spots. Race winner earlier this season. And Freya not able to repeat that performance. 8th in last year's European Championships. Be about there again this year. But it's not guaranteed to be a top 10 finish. Only been out of the top 10 3 times this season. And a race winner as well. Winner in race 2 in Pyeongchang. Bronze in race 3 in Beijing.
Next one up from Germany.
Well done, Freya.
Friends and family, the biggest support in every athlete's life. Next up, Jackie Pfeiffer. Now, Jacka had 100th over Freya Tarbit in the first heat, a whole 200ths over our current leader, Kelly Curtis. Let's see if she too can cling on in the top 10. Started 5:33, 27th fastest start. But with Jacka, it all happens once she's on the sled. 5:30, so she finds a little improvement as well. Curtis started quicker, so has the initial advantage. 1400s out to 2300s as Jacka gets to corner 6. She needs a good labyrinth here. And that sets her up for 10. Ooh, little late height. Best speed of all for Jacka. Helmet dragging on the ice. She buries ahead. Still the fastest sled. Getting close, but not close enough. 52.69. Kelly Curtis moves up another spot. Well, 3 sleds covered by 200ths of a second. It was always going to be a little bit of a sort out. Jacka slips one. She's still ahead of Xiaodan. Freya Tarbit down to 6th place now with 8 still to go. Tarbit 16th last year, likely to end up in 14th place this year. And Jacka. Well, a pretty smooth run, but not quite as quick as she needed. Last year, 9th. She was tied for 8th. There are still 8 to go, and she's in 2nd place. Jacka was tied to the 100th with the Olympic champion Hannah Neisser. So Hannah with 200s as well over Kelly Curtis. Not often that you find German sliders 3/4 off the lead, 3/4 of a second off the lead. But they are here. This battle for 8th. Neisser and Lerling Pfeiffer were both 7/400s off the lead. 3rd best speed. She's not really bringing the gap down. Skidding between 10 and 11. 2nd best speed, still not really bringing the gap down. 2nd best speed, 2/10 behind. She's going to still be behind at the line. She is. She drops behind Pfeiffer as well. So Kelly Curtis moves up. Now, of course, in terms of European Championship honours, North American sliders, Kelly Curtis, Mystique Rowe. South American sliders, Nicole Silveira, are invisible because they're not from Europe, so they don't get European honours. But nevertheless, and of course so too is Kelly Curtis, nevertheless, at the moment, Jacqueline Pfeiffer, Hannah Neisser and Victoria Dernicker, the top 3 European sliders, but we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Europeans to go. So chances of a medal for the Germans at the moment, apart from Suzanne Kreher, seem slight. Next up, Tabby Sturker. Now, again, a monstrous 1/100th of a second ahead of the tie behind her, Neisser and Pfeiffer. So her total advantage after the first heat over our current leader, Kelly Curtis, is 3/100ths of a second. Fastest starter in the competition with a 4:95. Settles as if she's just jogging off, and it's another 4:95. How does she make something so fast look like it's relatively gently paced? So 2200s up at the start, 2900s up. Needs to have a good exit out of 6. Little flop into 7. Nice run through 9. Got to be clean in 10. Decent exit. This is decent, but the speed is not there again, as in the first heat. The gaps come right down. Huge skid, 13 to 14. And that is the nail in the coffin. The speed has vanished, and now she's in free fall to the line. Drops 3 spots, 52.80. Only 200 slower than her first heat, but it should have been about 1/3 of a second faster. So Tabs drops behind Jacqueline Pfeiffer and Hannah Neisser, who she was 100th in front of in the first heat. She's down to 3rd. No European medal for Tabby Sturker either. Previous best in the European Championships, Sigulda last year. She finished in 10th place, so she should be ahead of that. Last World Cup, hooray! It's what you love doing! But maybe you need a rest, this is true. Next up, Nicole Silveira of Brazil, 20th fastest starter, 6th fastest at the bottom. Richard Bromley yelling her off at the top. Will undergo surgery for torn ligaments early in March, and that is going to affect the team undoubtedly in the World Championship. Nicole Silveira of Brazil, Kim Marmans of Belgium, who is here but isn't racing after getting a mild concussion in Lake Placid. Decent looking run from Silveira. She's not losing great gobs of time. She's close enough. 800 still, 4th best speed. Is it enough? Little late flop out of 13, 500s and 3rd best speed. This could be a dead heat. We haven't got one in the second. We have got one in the second heat. Ah, 100th in front. So Kim Marmans down at the bottom there, showing her that she is in the lead, a single 100th in it.
100.
So the digit was for first place and for the number of hundreds with which she had managed to overhaul Kelly Curtis, and any of these corners could have cost her an extra 100th. She'd just been a fraction tenser coming off 13 there. So the Brazilian in the lead with 5 to go from Kelly Curtis and Jacqueline Pfeiffer. Next up, Susanne Kreher of Germany, 13th fastest starter, 5th at the bottom. And her advantage over Nicole Silveira, just a single 100th of a second. So the 2023 world champion. .5:14, starts 400s quicker than her first heat. And every one of those will add to her speed. It'll be multiplied as she continues to slide through the upper part of the track. 1100s up to 1800s up. Now don't forget, Silveira built speed below corner 10, where lots have lost it. Kreher, only the 4th best speed at the moment, not as quick as the Brazilian. The gap is coming down. 6th best speed, the gap will continue to shrink. 1100s, 5th best speed. Silveira was flying at this stage. Just enough to hold on, just enough to hold on. 52.61. So 600s quicker on that run than Nicole Silveira. And that means that Susanne Kreher is potentially in the hunt for a European Championship medal. She's been a world champion. She was the bronze medalist in Altenburg in the Europeans 2 years ago. That is her only European medal. And she potentially might grab a bronze here, but it is a big margin that she has to overhaul. Everybody's slightly got that end of season feeling, haven't they? Although it's not the end of the season. Next up, last year's World Cup champion, our Olympic bronze medalist from Beijing 2022. This is Kimberly Boss. And Kim with 1400s in hand over Susanne Kreher. .5:16 starts just a couple of hundred slower than Kreher, so her lead remains intact. European champion 2022 in St. Moritz. And in fact, it's her only European medal so far, but she's battling for another one here and to try and break into the overall top 3. She was 4th after the first heat, just 400s out of the World Cup medals, but look at the gap, it's down to just 200s over Suzanne Craer. She needs speed low down here. Her Bromley sled is the fastest of all, 117.5 kilometers an hour. Late flop out of 13. 5th best speed. A 10th up. This could come right back down again. No, she holds on. 52.60, 100th quicker than Suzanne Craer. She has the lead with 3 to go. She's in the European Championship medals for the 2nd time in her career. So Kristen Bromley, the coach and sled builder, a 3-time European champion himself, and a world champion and a World Cup champion. Big steer there, going on to 13. Look how much she was steering all the way through to try and get an exit that wasn't a crash. Carrying more speed perhaps than she was expecting even. So she leads with 3 to go. Amelia Coltman of Great Britain, 9th fastest at the start, drove herself into 3rd place in the 2nd heat. In fact, she was the leader until Janine Flock came along 2 sleds later. And then finally Mystique Rowe also got ahead of her 10 sleds after she'd had her run. So can Amelia Coltman seal an overall podium finish here? European Championship bronze medalist last season. 5:14 getaway, just 100 slower than her first. She only had 400s over Kimberly Bos of the Netherlands, Kim with much more experience. Amelia in her 19th World Cup start, Kimberly Bos in her 66th. She's a 10th up. This is for another World Cup medal, and this is for potentially European silver as well. She's still in the green, and she's building her advantage. Now, don't forget, below 10, Kimberly Bos really came alight. 2nd best speed, good exit out of 13. That could be absolutely critical. Best speed of all for Amelia Coltman. She's pulling away, she's in the overall medals, and at least a European silver, 52.44. And I'm thinking those are the voices of her teammates. There's Martin Stucours with a thumbs up. I can hear Tabby Stoker, I can hear Freya Tarbit.
Good job.
They are as thrilled for her as when she won the season opener in that crazy race in Pyeongchang. And now on target for her 2nd World Cup medal. She will take at least a bronze. And now she will wait, and she is in the European medals in the silver medal position at the moment. 2 top draw runs from Amelia Coltman. The leader with 2 to go. Mystique Rowe for the USA, silver medal last year, 2nd in the first run, 1600s ahead of Amelia Coltman, but a whopping 33 hundredths of a second behind Janine Flock of Austria. Now she's got a start on her, 5:02 first heat, 5:04 in the second. And that already extends her advantage by a 10th over Amelia Coltman as she gets onto the sled. And for Mystique, this is chasing the lead. And also just laying down a marker, because the next race that we see these women in will be the World Championships in Lake Placid. Good looking run from Mystique Rowe. And this is a driver's track like Lake Placid. Best speed all the way down for the American slider. Takes a hit out of 13. 3,700s up. She's not going to add much to that at the line. It's 3,900s, 52.21. But Amelia Coltman still in at least a European Championship silver medal, and her second World Cup medal earned today. Is it a bronze? Is it a silver? We'll wait and see. Silver at least for the second year in a row for the USA's Mystique Rowe. 2 silver medals before today. She has just earned herself at least a third. She's had 1 win, 1 bronze medal as well in World Cup racing. It was a good run.
Good job.
Smile on her face. She's not hard to read, is she? Vicky Dernicker goes to offer her congratulations. They must have come up through the junior ranks together. And finally, Janine, looking for a 3rd consecutive win. Looking for a 4th European Championship gold. That will be her 12th European medal. .520 the getaway, quicker than her first heat. Her advantage after the first run, 33 hundredths over Mystique Rowe. 17 hundredths ahead of her at the start. Mystique started quicker, that gap shrinks. Now she needs to start turning that around below corner 6. Nice exit, good height in 7. Nice 8 to 9, best speed of all. Gaps out to 15 hundredths, out to 2 tenths. This is gold all the way for Janine Flock, unless she knows of an off-ramp. 33 hundredths up, best speed of all. She's going to add to her first heat advantage over Mystique Rowe. The European champion, a 3rd straight win in the World Cup. She's the European champion and the World Cup champion. Janine Flock wins in Lillehammer. Last year, just off the podium, in 4th place. She takes her 3rd consecutive win in the World Cup. Only once out of the top 4, and that was 12th place in Beijing. And then 4th place in Altenburg, her only other non-podium finish. For the 3rd time in her career, she is the World Cup champion. There's her dad. And she is a 4-time European gold medalist. She's a 4-time European silver medalist. She's a 4-time European bronze medalist. It is gold number 4 in the Europeans, win number 3 of the season for Janine Flock. And her 6th podium in 8 races. She is the World Cup champion. A record breaker in the world, in the European Championships. The World Cup champion, the race winner today, Janine Flock from Mystique Rowe. European silver for Amelia Coltman, last year's bronze medalist, and European bronze for Kimberly Boss, the European champion 3 seasons ago. But Janine Flock does it again. She ties Anja Huber as the all-time most successful European gold medalist in women's skeleton. And further back you can see the rest of the finishing positions of our 25 sliders in Heat 2. So 2 ties in the field, but distancing herself from the rest. 33 hundredths up in the first heat, and a total winning margin of 46 hundredths over Mystique Rowe. 3rd place Amelia Coltman, 85 hundredths back. Kimberly Boss in 4th, over a second adrift. Wow. Janine in the centre, Mystique on the left, and on the right, Amelia Coltman. That is your podium. And Austria have 2 European champions today after Sami Meyer took silver in the World Cup but gold in the European Championship. The World Cup standings, Janine Flock wins the Crystal Globe. The silver globe goes to Kimberly Boss and the bronze to Hannah Neisser. Amelia Coltman, what a season, a win and now a bronze. She's 4th overall, just behind the Olympic champion and ahead of Jacka Pfeiffer. And Nicole Silveira, 6th position for the Brazilian. What a year. Well, Kim Marmon's missing 2 races. Nicole Silveira missed 1. Neither of them went to Beijing. Marmon's missing this race as well, so outside of the top dozen. And some of our new sliders, some of our rookies mingling with some very experienced names around them throughout the course of the season. It's going to take a while to calm her down, is it? I made it. What? The race win, 3 in a row, the hat-trick of golds, the 4th European golds, the 3rd World Cup title. All of those were up to grabs today, and she did it in the best way possible by racing away from everybody else. Janine is the European champion. Silver medalist Amelia Coltman up 1 from her bronze of last year, and Kimberly Boss takes the bronze ahead of Suzanne Kreher, Jacka Pfeiffer, Hannah Neisser, with Tabby Sturker and Victoria Dernicker ahead of Freya Tarbit and Anna Fernstedt. There you go, the European Championship positions. So congratulations to Janine Flock, who has taken them all today and in fantastic form. Now, some, but not all necessarily, of our sliders will be back in team competition action tomorrow afternoon. But we start our bobsleigh action at 9 tomorrow morning, 0800 GMT, that is 0300 Eastern. We'll see you then. Until tomorrow, from everybody in Lillehammer, me, Martin Haven, saying goodbye. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow morning, 0800 GMT. Bye for now.
Thank you.